video que tu like.
Oh, disculpa, ¿no lo vas a likear? Bueno, déjame te mato, hijo de tu blood.
What's up, Spartans? My name is Smith and welcome back to another Spartan Showdown video series in which I take two Spartans, brutes, elites, jackals, grunts, hunters, floods, any character from the HEILO universe and take them into a one-on-one battle and see which one of them will be the very best. In today's video we're going to be showdowning the leader of the Vanished, the brute Atriox versus the chieftain of the brute clan, Tartarus. Please leave a comment down below on which brute you think is the best, and please leave a comment down below on what Spartan, elite, brute, prophet, grunt, etc. you want me to showdown next. It can be an Spartan versus an elite, elite versus grunt, grunt versus jackal, etc. Please leave a comment down below on saying those. Atriox versus Tartarus. Atriox is the leader of the Vanished, a brute-led splinter faction that fought against the Covenant long before the Great Schism. He led the Vanished against Spartan Red Team and a human outpost situated at Installation 00 in 2559. His weapon of choice is an energy mace called Chainbreaker, a weapon he created himself from parts of a gravity hammer. During the Human Covenant War, before the Brute Civilization ascension into the Covenant hierarchy, brutes were commonly used as shock troopers, as cannon fodder, first line of infantry. They were the ones they sent to die. They were sent into suicidal combat scenarios where they were expected to die, told that death in battle was the only way that they will be able to take the great journey. Atriox and his clan were sent into groups of 40 into such situations. Each and every time, Atriox and only Atriox survived. Time after time, he survived only to see more and more of his brothers slain fighting for beliefs that were not their own. Atriox's ability to survive gained him the respect of many, but he began to despise the Covenant, sending his kind to be butchered, and thus began to defy the Covenant. Finally, the prophets took notice of his heresy and sent an elite death squad to kill him. Atriox, having nothing left, seemed to surrender his fate, and the squad leader raised his energy sword. However, before he could strike the killing blow, Atriox grabbed the elite's wrist, staying his hand, and strangled the executioner with his bare hands. Before the other members of the elite executioner squad could attack, Atriox's brutes fell upon them and slaughtered them all. In that moment, Atriox and the Banished were born. For the rest of the Human Covenant War, the Banished raided across Covenant space, growing in numbers and authority with every attack. Many mercenaries, pirates, and the Covenant warriors, also sick of the cruelty of the Covenant leadership, joined Atriox's ranks. Soon after the Great Schism, Atriox came across the shipmaster led Volier, the elite commander of the CAS class assault carrier Enduring Conviction. That name is so goddamn long for a ship, what the hell. Volier had no purpose now that the prophet's lies had been revealed, so Atriox offered to give him something to fight for as well as to keep his ship fueled up and his crew roster full. In exchange, that Volier will follow him. So basically, you fight for me, I will give you food, is that okay? Shipmaster was hesitant to take orders from a brute, having commanded them in the past and seeing them as beneath him, but saw it was his only choice and accepted. Volier quickly came to realize that Atriox was not an ordinary brute, and came to both respect and fear him. Caught between the Vanished threat as well as the Flood and the formation of the Covenant separatists, who allied themselves with the UNSC, the Covenant were powerless to put Atriox down. Atriox continued to raid Covenant forces until the end of the war, and even gained the notice of the UNSC. Now let's talk of his personality. If you played Halo Wars 2, you might already know all of this, but if you didn't play Halo Wars 2, then I'll say it for you. Atriox is a cold, calculating, cunning, and brutal leader. He is shown to be significantly more intelligent than most brutes, but it's also much more level-headed than any brute seen before. He keeps his cool in situations that will send any other of his kind into a destructive rage. He is open-minded enough to employ elites, as he doesn't care for the elite brute war, unlike most brutes. Likewise, he also seems to have a degree of honor, shown when he offers Cutter and his crew the chance to flee, or when he allows Spartan Red Team to retreat when he easily could have killed them all himself. He is also ambitious, and this coupled with his hatred of the Covenant made him a grave threat to its power. Atriox is very confident and is not shy of gloating when he knows he has won, taunting his enemies as they run away. He is also good with technology as he quickly learns how to use Forerunner tech and can design weapons such as his hammer, the Chainbreaker. Atriox is incredibly strong and resilient, a veteran of countless desperate combat scenarios that even many arbiters have failed to return from. He is capable of holding his own not just against the other Covenant, but even against legendary combat-hardened Spartans like Jerome, even if they are working in teams. Atriox is way bigger and way stronger than any other brute in the galaxy. Tartarus was the last known chieftain of the brutes to serve in the Covenant. He is the Arbiter's primary rival in Halo 2 and acts as the Hierarch's chief enforcer or Truth's second in command. He is also the tertiary antagonist and final boss in Halo 2. Even before the events surrounding the Battle of Earth, the Prophet of Truth had trusted Tartarus enough to dismiss the elite honor guardsmen in order to speak to him alone. Tartarus is easily recognized by his silver fur, very deep voice, his distinctive mohawk, and the fact that he wielded the Fist of Rooked. If you guys didn't know, the Fist of Rooked is the gravity hammer that Tartarus wields, and that gravity hammer can only be acquired by chieftains of the brutes. Only the chieftain of the brutes can wield that gravity hammer, so it's kinda like a legendary weapon. His devotion and faithfulness to the Covenant, the Prophets, is unwavering, and he strongly represents the general attitude of his entire race: rough, arrogant, and disdainful of the elite. He was a powerful, aggressive, and intelligent leader who inspired both fear and respect in his brute forces. Tartarus is also the nephew of Maccabeus, whom he killed the Bridge of Rapid Conversion in order to gain the position of the chieftain of the brutes. Also, Sergeant Johnson refers to Tartarus as Mr. Mohawk on Halo's 2 last mission, when talking to Tel Podem. Before he became the chieftain, Tartarus wielded a Type 25 carbine with deadly force. With both its projectiles and fierce blades, Tartarus used an empty carbine in his battle against his uncle Maccabeus. We're talking about the 1v1 against Tartarus and Maccabeus to get the position of chieftain of the brutes. Eventually, he defeated Maccabeus and gained his new primary weapon, the Fist of Rooked. Tartarus was able to wield the Fist of Rooked with great strength, effortlessly disseminating foes in a single blow. In the battle between the Arbiter during the Battle of Installation 05, his shield was so strong that only direct hits from a beam rifle could penetrate it. The shield quickly recharged, making Tartarus invisible once more. Even without his shield, Tartarus was able to take enormous amounts of damage before succumbing to his injuries, a trait all brutes share. Now that I gave you a quick overlook on who Tartarus is and who Atriox is, now let's talk about who is the better brute. Now let's talk about who is stronger. What do we know about Tartarus' strength and what do we know about Atriox's strength? Okay, let's talk about gameplay in Halo 2 against Tartarus. As you guys know, Tartarus only appears in Halo 2. We only see cutscenes of Tartarus here and there, but he never shows us his real strength. He never carries a Spartan, he never fights against a Spartan, he never carries a very big boulder, he never carries something that is very heavy, like a tank, a pod, etc. The only thing that Tartarus does to demonstrate his strength is when we fight against him in the ending of Halo 2, when Johnson, Miranda Keys, and the Arbiter, ourselves fight against him in the final mission of Halo 2, is that he is very resilient, like any other normal brute. Brutes are known to be very resilient and strong. They can tank a lot of injuries and attacks. To kill Tartarus in Halo 2, you need to shoot him with the beam rifle like 3 or 4 times. Well, we didn't shoot him with the beam rifle. Johnson had to shoot Tartarus with the beam rifle like 3 or 4 times, I don't remember correctly, but the beam rifle is a beam of laser, a very concentrated amount of heat in one point, so 4 or 5 shots against you is something. Wow. To be able to tank a lot of shots with a beam rifle without any shields on, you need to be very strong to do that. But even though we played against Tartarus in the last mission of Halo 2, we don't know that much about his strength because he never showed us his strength, like he didn't carry anything heavy or etc. He only like showed us how resilient he is. something along those lines. Now let's talk about how strong is Atriox. In one of the first cutscenes of Halo Wars 2, in the first cutscene of Atriox, the reveal of Atriox, Spartan Team Red Team arrive into the installation and get inside to see what the hell happened here, what the hell happened in this installation, why is everyone dead, why is no one manning this installation, this facility. After that, Atriox arrives and basically owns Douglas, Alice, and Jerome single-handedly. He could have killed them if he wanted, and to basically almost kill 3 Spartan 2s, that shows you how strong Atriox is. We already know he is way taller than normal brutes, and we already know that he is way stronger than normal brutes. I think Tartarus is with the majority of brutes in terms of how big he is. Tartarus is 9 feet and 0.9 inches tall. 9 feet tall, almost 3 meters tall. If Tartarus is one of the majority of the brutes and Atriox is one of the bigger brutes, Atriox can basically be 3 meters tall. And if we are taking into account that Atriox owned 3 Spartan 2s of Red Team is known to be one of the best Spartan teams in the Halo universe. So that Atriox owned Red Team single-handedly with 1 arm and 1 hammer, it says a lot of things. In terms of strength, I think that Atriox is better. Now let's talk about who is the smartest, who is more intelligent out of them both. Atriox is the leader of the Banished, and Tartarus is the chieftain of the Brutes. With all the facts we know about Atriox and Tartarus, I think I can work with those facts and say which one of them is more intelligent. We know that Atriox is the leader of the Banished, and Tartarus is the chieftain of the Brutes. First, let's take a dive into the mind of Atriox. Atriox was a low-level brute. He was a shock trooper for the Covenant. He came back a lot of times after being sent to suicide missions. He came back always, he always came back. Then he had his coup d'etat, where you basically rise in arms to defy the government that is governing you, in this terms the Covenant. He defied the Covenant and won. He made an army of his own, negotiating with shipmasters, negotiating with mercenaries, recruiting shipmasters, recruiting everyone he could see useful. Let's talk about how he recruited the shipmaster Volier. We know that Volier didn't want to serve Atriox because he thought of the brutes to be beneath him, but Atriox knew what Volier wanted. Volier wanted something to fight for. Volier wanted safety for his army, and what Atriox did was, I will give you something to fight for, and I will give you food. So basically, fight for me and I will give you your motive, your drive. I'll give you your motive. I will give you your drive to do things. We don't know that much about how Atriox commands his army, but to be able to defy the Covenant, and the Covenant not being able to get near you because your army is very powerful, that talks a lot about how intelligent, how strategic Atriox is. As we know, he is open-minded, he is level-headed, he is very intelligent, and he keeps his calm in desperate situations, in very desperate situations, and that's good for life too. If you're in a desperate situation of life and death, etc., with whatever the desperate situation might be, you need to always stay calm, because if you don't stay calm, you don't do the right judgment, you don't make the right decisions. Now let's talk about how intelligent is Tartarus. As we already know, Tartarus is known to be a very intelligent brute, but unlike Atriox, I think that Tartarus is shown to be like any other normal brute. He gets desperate quickly, he gets infuriated quickly in rage, he sometimes doesn't know what to do. Basically, I only need to say this and you will know that Tartarus is not that. He is intelligent, but not that intelligent. Tartarus is a chieftain of the brutes. He sees his species first, and then he sees the prophets after his species. That's why he is a chieftain of the brutes. He wants his species' safety. In installation 05, after 343 Guilty Spark and the Arbiter basically tell Tartarus that the prophets have deceived the brutes, have deceived the elites, that the prophets have deceived the Covenant, that what they are doing is basically kill themselves. After Tartarus knows that, what does he do? In a blind rage, he tries to kill Johnson, he tries to kill Arbiter, and he tries to activate the key, or I don't remember correctly, was he trying to activate HEILO? I don't know, but he was trying to basically do a very bad thing. Even though Atriox is age 49 and Tartarus is age 61, I think that Atriox is way more intelligent and it's better in strategy games. This doesn't mean that Tartarus is a very bad brute, that Tartarus is a very bad character, no. Tartarus, he was the final boss of Halo 2, he is a very badass character. But if you compare Tartarus and Atriox, Atriox basically owns Tartarus, because I don't want to imagine how it would be Tartarus against an Spartan 2, only one Spartan 2. I can see on the Spartan 2, I can see Master Chief own Tartarus, I can see Noble 6 own Tartarus, but I cannot see Master Chief owning Atriox, because damn, Douglas, Alice, and Jerome got owned by Atriox single-handedly. That says a lot. So now, in between Atriox and Tartarus, who is the better brute? My answer is the leader of the banished, Atriox. Okay guys, that is all for today. If you guys liked the video, slap a like on it, I'll greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, take care, and I love you very, very much. Thank you for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. Bye-bye.